Hi book besties, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Maya and I like to talk about books here on the internet. Listen, I know at the start of this month, I gave you guys a new reward system for my booktube channel that I'm hoping to stick to. Not even a couple of videos later, I'm playing a TBR game and I'm like, I need all of the prompts for my physical TBR, which is, you know, bookshelves, TBR cart, piles of books around the room, and then anything potentially audiobook related that is gonna fit within the credits. And then some things happen and I realized I may need to make some changes already to my reward system. It's more for the sake of trying to keep me accountable financially with spending money on books, but also allowing myself to have that flexibility of just having fun and going ham basically if I want every 5, 6, 7 months. All fun, no pressure. That was the way that the reward system was structured. It was also structured very, very simply. And even within the comments, because I did encourage this, even within the comments, my book besties were helping out with further suggestions, aka Lucy, thank you girl. She suggested, you know, when you finish a series, also like give yourself a little bit of a reward for finishing a series. And she added an example. What if we added $1 extra per book within the series? So like if I finished a duology, I get $2 extra plus the $5 per book that I would get by reading them. Then also like if it's a trilogy, kind of same idea, I would get $3 extra if I finished the trilogy, added on to the $5 per book thing, and it keeps moving forward like that. I also came across a change that I would need to have happen because I went onto Audible this month and I got me a book that was free on the app. And the whole point of this reward system is essentially getting me to not be motivated to buy books, rather get them in other ways for free. I did not know that that was a thing on Audible, although I should have because my study book was free. However, I thought it was more like, I guess you could say like the nonfiction, the more study related books. I thought all of those were free and then everything else wasn't, but turns out there are some classics that are free, like Don Quixote was free, and I didn't think too much of it, although it was a sample, so it didn't stay in my library. However, I did haul a book this month that was a classic, and it doesn't seem to be a sample. So that makes sense. And when I say sample, I mean a sample of the entire book, like I had it for a certain period of reading time. That was not the case with this book. Or at the very least, when I got it, it didn't tell me like you have a certain amount of time before, you know, you can no longer read this book. So I was like, okay, great, awesome, good. I have the book physically anyway, but just for my life recently, I have discovered that audiobooks has been helping save me quite literally for gameplay. So, you know, I was just like, okay, maybe we need a little bit of a switch to the reward system. So here is as follows. We are adding the recommendation that our book bestie Lucy had suggested in the way that I had said. So if I finish a duology, $2 extra added on to the $5 per book. So it would accumulate in a total of $12. And for a trilogy, $3, and anything else, so on, for the amount of books that are within that series. So that's how we're going to do that. Then any free books on Audible do not count against me for a book haul. Let's get into the haul, shall we? I only have one physical book that I got, and this, honestly, I could not say no this month because it is very rarely ever in stock. It is a special edition, so hard to come by, so hard to find, and it matches a special edition book that I have. So let me just haul the physical book and then we'll talk about all of the audiobooks, because I do haul audiobooks because I do think that that is still part of a haul. And to be quite honest, I feel like if more booktubers also hauled all of their audiobooks, when you see booktubers hauling like 50 plus books per video, bro, they probably could haul 200, 250 books. I also don't know how you get through all of those. Bless you, bless your soul. I could never relate. So anyways, let me show you guys the book that I got because this is so amazing. I cannot wait. Isn't she gorgeous? This is the Tarot Cafe Collector's Edition, Volume 1. I have Volume 2. I thought I had Volume 2. I do have Volume 2. I just don't know where I put it. Anyways, I have Volume 2, and believe it or not, Volume 1 was by far the most expensive and the most hardest to get my hands on, so of course I had to get this, even though for the reward system, -$10, and that is totally fine, because you guys, doesn't it look so gorgeous? Also, it holds within its lovely binding 3 volumes, so technically can that also mean that I get $5 per volume? Let me know in the comments what you think. Also, I realized that I had another question on the reward system, and that is for every book that is finished, yes, even with manga, I want it to be $5, but should the amount that is gotten by the series be cut in half? You know, because it is so much shorter. But, you know, we can talk about it in the comments, but la la la. I love it. It's so amazing. So let me read you guys the back of the book. Meet Pamela, a tarot card reader who helps supernatural beings living in the human world. She'll help anyone, whether they're a love-stricken cat, a vampire spending eternity running from his one true love, an unattractive waitress looking for the man of her dreams, or even a magician who creates a humanoid doll to serve the woman he loves. But even Pamela has a deep, dark secret that she must deal with before she can move on to the next life. Yeah, I had to buy it. Now let's get into the audiobooks because I haven't hauled yet because it happened after I did the video. The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. I didn't know much. I knew that The Exorcist existed. I knew that that was a popular movie. I knew it was something that included demonic possession that was kind of based off of real life events. I found a blog post from actually Audible, and someone wrote about The Exorcist. The Exorcist follows the story of Chris McNeil, an actress living in Georgetown with her 11-year-old daughter, Reagan. Strange occurrences begin to plague their rented house, culminating in Reagan's increasingly disturbing behavior. As Reagan's condition worsens, she exhibits violent outbursts, speaks in tongues, and demonstrates superhuman strength. After exhausting medical and psychiatric options, a desperate Chris turns to Father Damien Karras, a Jesuit priest and psychiatrist. Initially skeptical, Karras becomes convinced that Reagan is possessed by a demon after witnessing her horrifying transformations and inexplicable knowledge. He seeks permission from the church to perform an exorcism. Not me reading the entire plot and realizing that there was the summary up above, not under the heading of plot. So let me retry that again. I will cut off in time, however, I will keep in enough for there to be context for my slip-ups. So let's try this again, shall we? The summary. William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, published in 1971, is a groundbreaking horror novel that shocked readers with its raw portrayal of demonic possession. The book, which spent 57 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, follows the terrifying ordeal of a young girl and the priest who attempt to save her soul. Blatty's masterful blend of supernatural horror and religious themes has cemented the novel's place as a cornerstone of modern horror literature. In 1973, Blatty adapted his work into a screenplay for the iconic film of the same name, directed by William Friedkin. The movie, starring Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, and Linda Blair, became a cultural phenomenon and is widely regarded as one of the greatest horror films ever made. Its success further amplified the novel's reach and influence, introducing the story to a global audience. Makes sense. It's a different type of media, and we all appreciate a good movie always. So it would make sense that it broadened the range. Anywho, inspired by a reported case of demonic possession from 1949, The Exorcist explores themes of faith, doubt, and the nature of evil. Blatty's meticulous research and attention to detail lend a chilling authenticity to the narrative, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. The novel's enduring popularity has led to numerous adaptations across various media, including stage plays, radio dramas, and television series. Yeah, I can see why. So yes, that is a book that I have hauled and read, have thoughts on. If you want those thoughts, I will leave the video linked in the description box down below. Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne, I believe is how you pronounce it. So sorry if that's not. And this obviously is following Winnie the Pooh, a well-known, well-loved character, especially, you know, as I was growing up. It was such a nostalgia movie, animated movie that I would always watch. I had never read the books, never seen the illustrations. Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero has actually very much encouraged that I actually get the book in hand to be able to see the illustrations, and I will definitely do so. I also got Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, a classic, and this is not going to go against my reward system. I do have the classic actually in hand, and you might be thinking, so then why did you get the audiobook? You didn't even have to do that. I kind of did, yes, actually, because I am finding that, again, my lifestyle needed an audiobook to go along with this. And to be quite honest, I was willing to pay the money for a classic, especially one that I own and have loved in the past. So I was willing to spend the money, however, it was free. So I'm very glad it doesn't go against the reward system, and I get a free audiobook, and I get to keep it. So let me read the summary of the book, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Introduction and notes by Karen Karbiner. Biner. Karbiener. At once a gothic thriller, a passionate romance, and a cautionary tale about the dangers of science, Frankenstein tells the story of committed science student Victor Frankenstein. Obsessed with discovering the cause of generation in life and bestowing animation upon lifeless matter, Frankenstein assembles a human being from stolen body parts, but upon bringing it to life recoils in horror at the creature's hideousness. Tormented by isolation and loneliness, the once innocent creature turns to evil and unleashes a campaign of murderous revenge against his creator, Frankenstein. Why in the world does this sound like every single sci-fi movie that we have ever seen, aka Jurassic Park? That also sounds like it could potentially be a thing that does indeed happen in real life and actually can and probably would happen in real life. That's a real horror thing. Anywho, Frankenstein not only tells a terrifying story, but also raises profound, disturbing questions about the very nature of life and the place of humankind within the cosmos. What does it mean to be human? What responsibilities do we have to each other? How far can we go in tampering with nature? In our age, filled with news of organ donation, genetic engineering, and bioterrorism, these questions are more relevant than ever. Yes. Yes. I don't know who wrote this summary. But yes. Karen Karbiner, so sorry, received her PhD in English and Comparative Literature at Columbia University in 2001. Oh, good for you, girl. And teaches at New York University. Listen, we stand women of literature, do we not, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, so I got this in audio version, and I am having quite an amazing experience. The one thing that I feared of audiobooks the most was the narration. Would the narration take me out of the story? And quite frankly, I have chosen stories and books that I don't think I could be taken out of by way of any particular author voice. Now, I do listen to the samples. I do make sure I like the voice before I go in, but I'm not too worried about being taken out of the story because I'm not overly invested in trying to imagine the story for myself. If I'm trying to imagine the story for myself, if I'm really trying to get into it with the characters like I am for Six of Crows, I'm not going to get audiobooks for that. I will, however, get audiobooks for other things. Now, I will be very clear though, I got a sample of the Six of Crows audiobook, and I greatly appreciated the fact that there were multiple different voices. I liked the voice that I heard, and I wouldn't mind definitely going into that, but I didn't want to spend the money to do that or to use a credit because I do have 1 credit now. Every month on the 19th, I will get a new credit, and I believe the credits roll over, so I'm not going to be using that credit this month. I'll just roll it over into the next month just in case, because I know myself and I know audiobooks are really getting me through life right now. But all of that to say, I had a fear that the audiobooks would take me out of the story, whether it's because I didn't like the narrator, or because I wasn't totally invested within the book, or because I was doing other things as, you know, the book was happening, because that is kind of the whole point. I don't have time to sit down and read, therefore I will get an audiobook. Now, people have audiobooks for different reasons other than that, but for me, that's kind of the basic question of, do I want to sit down and read? Do I have time to do that? Do I not? Okay, let's find an audiobook to kind of, you know, go with that. But I will say, for all of the audiobooks that I have had, The Exorcist, Don Quixote, Winnie the Pooh, I have had Frankenstein even. I have had really good narrators, and that is so helpful for me because it keeps me engaged. It keeps me paying attention to what's going on while simultaneously doing like brain rot tasks, if you will, or tasks that don't require my brain. So that is very helpful, and I am very thankful that I kind of got into this audiobook world, and I am thankful that it was a smooth transition, because it has definitely saved my butt for my TBR game of Final FMC, which will require consequence if I don't get certain things read. And I'm not planning on facing that consequence, 1, ever, but 2, anytime soon. That is all I have though for this book haul. Thank you guys so much for watching, for taking the time out of your day to do so. For a little bit of housekeeping, I will leave all of the readathons either that I'm participating in or have found for this month. It is a growing list. I am trying to do 1 new one per month, whether that be a bingo board, whether that be a readathon. For the last half of the month, I am gonna try and find readathons for November and try and like give attention to those, just because obviously we are past halfway through the month, and at this point either you're in something or you're not, or you're ready to, you know, start the next thing and preparing yourself for that. I should be doing that. I am not. I am just barely like treading water, doggy paddling here with all of the content that is going on. But regardless of that, I will start leaving more November probably readathons, or continual like fall readathons or bingo boards, or maybe even year-long ones, because I found something that I think is pretty cool that I would love to just recommend to y'all, so I'll put that down below as well. So anyways, check out all of that if you feel so inclined. Also, while you're down there, if you want to follow me on any of my other platforms, I have, let me go through the long laundry list. I have my Bookstagram, my regular Instagram, my TikTok that doubles as a book talk and lifestyle TikTok, and all things K-pop, because I am a K-pop stan. My vocal platform, my lifestyle channel, this channel, and anything else I could possibly even think of. I don't think I have my Lemonade account linked yet. I can maybe try and do that. Honestly, I'm just barely surviving with a singular brain cell that is running out of fume as we speak. So we shall see what happens there. But thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. It's been so much fun. I love getting to sit down and do videos with you guys, and specifically have a reason to do more and make myself like stop and sit and talk with you guys, and it's been great. So thank you guys so much for enduring myself. As always, thank you guys so much for being the absolute freaking best bookish bestie that ever was, is, or ever will be. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!